Oh. Hi guys, you know the drill by now. Yeah, we're back. Welcome, Harry. How are you, brother?
Doing good, doing pretty good. I may stop using that word though,
Yeah.
because we don't know what does
No.
good really mean.
Well, yeah. Love's good. Love's good. Has got some pretty good ideas as to what it means. Yeah. But yeah. I mean, it's sometimes I think it's the association. I mean, we give a meaning to a word, and that meaning becomes generally widely acceptable. So whether it's I don't know, that's for another day.
Yeah.
That's for another day. So welcome guys. Harry is going to take the lead on this one, and I am going to get straight into it. This is one of Harry's excellent presentations. So take it away, brother.
All right. So we've been talking about for weeks now. We've been saying that we're going to do a presentation on the heart, how it's not really a pump. And I've had the information. I've just been sitting on it because we've been talking about so many other things. So this is just one of the many multiple deceptions that we are taught from childhood. We've been bombarded by this concept that our heart is a pump. So I've named this "Cross Your Heart, Hope to Die" is the living water pumping you up yet. And we're going to say why we talk about living water, because the blood that pumps through your body is alive, and it's mainly water. And we're going to see why and how it does this local motion, and it's not because of the heart. So we're going to look at the Red Cross, the Red Heart, and the Double Cross. All three of these have one thing in common, and that's blood. The Red Cross wants your blood. The heart, they tell us, is what pumps your blood. And if you're involved in one of those three Abrahamic religions, you've been double crossed by the church, because they're really using blood as a sacrifice.
Yeah, they eat the flesh and drink the blood. Yeah,
that is what they have in common. So we'll look at these three things. We have a water pump, we have the Jarvik heart, and we have the human heart. Now, the water pump is, it's used in many applications, like emptying a pool, recycling air into oxygen into a fish tank, that type of thing. The Jarvik heart was invented years ago by Mr. Jarvik for people who needed a heart transplant and didn't have a donor. This thing could, at one point kept you alive for a few days, and then eventually they got it up to about 2 years. And on the far right, we have a depiction of what the different parts of the human heart are, and none of these three are the same. They're not equal to each other. But what do all of these have in common? Water goes through all three of them. So, and what does water have anything to do with? Well, we know that 75% of our body is made out of water. And on the right side here, we have the hand that's showing you both the 7 in the palm and the 5 fingers. That's going to encode the 75. So what does water do for you? Water does all these things. You can read them for yourself, but it helps create saliva, keeps the mucous membrane, regulates body temp. It's a cushion, like a shock absorber. It converts food because it's a solvent. We're going to look at that a little bit later. The one I don't agree with here is flushes the body waste mainly in the urine. And, this could be another podcast. Nigel and I, we've been talking about the urine is not really waste. It is a distillation of the excesses of all the minerals and the nutrients and the vitamins that your body just couldn't use, and it's storing them in the bladder. And again, this is probably another podcast, but urine therapy, that would be the
Yeah. Urine therapy is something, guys. If you haven't looked into urine therapy, then I strongly suggest you do. Harry and I started doing it back in April this year, pretty much on a daily basis, and we're kind of waiting to compare results, because of course I'm in China, Harry's in California. So, but we started doing it back in April. I think you were, I was 2 days behind you, I think, Harry, if I remember.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, we'll let you know, guys, and we'll bring you the results once we have them. So yeah, urine is not waste; it's just simply excess liquid. That's all it
Yeah,
is.
so that's another thought. So where do we get our energy? Well, we get it from the food. Looking at this picture, the salad's probably about 90% water. We already talked about that's where we get our energy. And we also get it from light.
Yep.
Infrared light mainly. So yeah, those are the two forms. So we look at photosynthesis. Water comes down in the form of rain, it gets absorbed by the root system, goes up the stem into the green leaves, and the sun then hits it with its light, and it's going to take the water, the H2O, and it's going to transform it into something slightly different. So this whole concept of the heart not being a pump was pretty much distilled, I like to use that word, by Thomas Cowan. And I suggest if anyone's interested in learning more about this than even what this presentation is going to cover, just go to YouTube and punch in Thomas Cowan, The Heart is Not a Pump. And he's got several videos where he's discussing and explaining his theory. This is just one of them. And I think you might enjoy it. So we have to look at some materials, and that's going to determine how the water will flow. And of course, we're going to be talking about blood here because blood is mainly water. So we're going to look at hydrophilic materials and hydrophobic materials. Now, hydrophilic, if we break the word down, it's water and love. So in one case, the water is going to be attracted to the hydrophilic material, and in the other case, it's going to be repelled. So hydrophobic materials are like water resistant. It's gonna repel water and stay dry, whereas hydrophilic is going to absorb water and allow things to mix, dissolve, and get wet.
Yeah, it's interesting that phobia comes from phobic or the other way around. And if you're an aquaphobic, you're actually scared of water, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. So we see in this slide, it's repeated a couple of times, but you'll see that the little, this is like a water glass, but they put in where the arrow is showing is what is called a hydrophilic material. And you'll see that the water, the H2O, is going to separate or polarize to a H positive to the right and to an OH negative to the left, but it's going to leave something called EZ water in the middle. And we'll go into that a little bit next slide. So we're, in school, we're taught about the 3 states of water, but really there's 4 states. We know the solid is ice. We know that the liquid is water and the gas is steam. But they always skip the structured water, which is more of a gel-like consistency. So the EZ that we talked about earlier is called the exclusion zone. And this exclusion zone is an area where the gel starts to form and it repels any of the nutrients, whatever is within the water, it's going to expel it or push it away. And this is where the gel is formed. So what, besides a hydrophilic material, causes water to create this EZ zone? Well, on accident one day, someone pointed a light at this water, and they noticed that the exclusion zone actually expanded. So the infrared light is activating the water even more than just the material itself.
Well, I think all of us in this community know now that water is far, far more than we've ever been taught.
Yeah, I mean, the name water itself,
Mm.
it's telling us that it has an electric background. We've just changed the way it's spelled, in other words, to not understand that.
Yeah.
So the greater the amount of infrared light, the more easy water that's formed. So we look at the left, there's a little bit of easy water with just a hydrophilic material. We add a little infrared light, and that easy water expands, almost quadruples in size. And what that's doing is it's creating like a circuit, and that's creating like a battery effect.
Mm. Well, we say that that's why the seawater's salty, isn't it? Because it's salt water. You can use salt water as a battery. Yeah.
So if you ever looked at the picture of the Baphomet real closely, he's got two words inscribed on his forearms. On the right hand, he's pointing up, and it says Salve. On the left hand, pointing down, it's got the word coagula. Now we know that water is a solvent, and it comes from above when it comes in the form of rain. We also know that the coagulate is a gel, so that's what it means, to thicken. And that's pointing down because where it thickens is in that place where it falls. It fell from hell to hell, and it's going to turn into a gel.
Yeah.
So it seems like that language is there for a reason. So
the lady on the right, that's your ex-wife, right? Is that why you divorced her?
No. It just goes to show you that these people are, they're ordering. I think this was ordered on Etsy. It was an ad on Etsy, and this lady is showing you that you can go online and you can order this satanic symbol and hang it in your living room right behind your couch.
And you have no idea what it means. No.
Yeah.
And if anybody, hang on, Harry, if anybody knows what these signs are either side of the let us know, will you? I mean, obviously that one's the first one is blatant. That's the upside down cross. But if anybody recognizes these, just let us know in the comments, will you?
Yeah. So looking at the water, the gel, we also recognize that there's a positive and a negative polarity, plus and minus, and we also see that there's a 1 and a 0 connection, just like the on-off that we've talked about many times.
Yeah, the binary.
Yep. So ways to energize a human. We've looked at what are ways to get energized. We get energized by water through hydration. We get energized by food because, again, water is in the food. We also get energized by the sun because it activates the water, as we said. It changes the polarity. It gets from gel to liquid to gel back. And then, of course, Thomas does use the term laying of hands. That is a religious connotation. You go to get some help, and they touch you and they pray over you. But that touching is more like just getting hugs and physical contact. That's going to heat the water in your blood. So some of the people that talk about the heart not being a pump goes back all the way back to Rudolf Steiner. And he had 3 main points. These are the 3 main points that he talked about in many of his discussions. So we're going to look at number 3, the heart is not a pump. But why did we ever think the heart was? Well, because Descartes, the French philosopher and scientist, he coined the understanding that the heart is a mechanical pump. No. The walls of the heart are so thin that the pressure that it would need to exert to get the blood to go around the earth 3 times, that's what they say, that's how much blood is in the average human, to go around the earth 3 times. That would definitely just destroy the walls of the heart. They're so thin. There's no possible way that it could be. So then how does blood flow if the heart's not a pump? How does it get to where it's supposed to go? Or let's say, what's the real function then of the heart if it's not the pump? Well, we do know that blood too is composed mostly of water. And water within goes through the phases that we talked about that water does. So blood then will become liquid and it will become gel-like depending on the types of materials that it is up against. So it's going through the heart, it's going through the arteries, and the arteries are considered Mars.
Well, you've got the word Aries in there, haven't you?
You have
Aries, yeah.
Aries. You have all kinds of connotations to war and arms and artillery. I think they all get that.
And you've got the Aries and capillaries as well.
Yeah.
Aries, capillaries. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it goes through the capillaries, it goes through the veins, and veins has the connotation towards Venus. And again, it goes back to the heart after it's gone through all that travel. All the while, it's changing back and forth between from different structure to different structure, just like we talked about the gel into the liquid and back. Now, it's all going to depend on, is it touching a hydrophilic or a hydrophobic surface? Now, the different parts of the heart and the different parts of the internal structure of humanity changes between those two types of the philic or the phobic. So there's no difference, I think, between when, as children, we used to put magnets on a track, and then we put a metal ball on that track, and the magnets would shoot that ball just like a gun. And those are the different phases and states of phases that are going to propel the blood through the heart, the arteries, the capillaries, and the veins. So by the capillaries, for example, the blood is flowing at its slowest speed. And then on the return trip to the heart in the veins, it's picking up its fastest speed. But when it's slowing at the capillaries, it's kind of like when, let's say you plan a trip cross country in the United States. You're going to start in California and you want to end up in New York. But when you reach, let's say, Oklahoma, which is almost the midpoint, you decide, I'm going to open the hood of the car and I'm going to take the motor out, but I'm still going to make it to New York. Well, that's ridiculous. There's no motor that happens that at the midpoint of the blood flow throughout the body that's going to continue to propel it, because the heart has no way of doing it at this point. Okay. So let's look at the outflow of the aortic arch. At the aortic arch, this is where there's the maximum, it's called systole, or probably the most pressure. But what happens at the aortic arch? The aortic arch at the most pressure ends up bending rather than straightening out. So let's say you go to the backyard and you turn on your water hose, and the minute you turn it on, it has the most pressure, it straightens out.
Yeah.
This is the exact opposite. This is the exact opposite of what happens when the blood is flowing through the aortic arch. Instead, it's bending at its most pressure.
That would be impossible. As you say, the hose would be a good example. You're going to turn your hose on and it's just going to straighten out. Yeah,
and that's exactly the opposite of what happens at systole in the heart.
Yeah,
I think this proves that the constant pressure would be so great that the heart would explode if it was just the constant pressure like we're taught.
Yeah.
Instead, I think, well, this is what Thomas Cowan says. He says that the heart acts like a ram. And I guess what he means is it's going to slow the liquid and the gel to allow for the exchange of the oxygen, the nutrients, and other chemical exchanges that are supposed to happen. So this slow down process was even shown by Michelangelo when he stated that there's a vortex that happens in the heart's left ventricle. And we're going to see that.
Well, you came up with this. Must be the next slide, but
the next slide.
Yeah.
So in this picture, we're seeing the different chambers of the heart. the oxygen poor, oxygen rich blood is flowing, and it's going to happen. What's going to happen in that ventricle is it's going to have that vortex happen, and you can see even the striations of that part of the heart has that look of that motion is going to happen.
That looks like a tree, you know, like when you chop a tree down, the rings on a tree.
Rings
on
or
the
just,
heart. Yeah.
yeah, or just that like a tornado vortex that's happening.
Which is exactly what a traffic island is, or a traffic roundabout.
Yeah. So I thought to myself, okay, well, so he's saying that it's the chamber of the heart, that left ventricle, is going to act like a ram to slow it down. What is it that we use every day in our commute that slows us down? It doesn't stop us. It just slows us down so we can get to where we're going to go and get there in one piece. Well, a roundabout in traffic is nothing more than a vortex that slows the car and lets us get to the place we want to go in an organized manner and in the proper state.
So and nothing has to stop. It's not like you got a stoplight or a stop sign. You know
yeah, because look, in the United States, these roundabouts are not very prevalent.
No.
Now, if you go to Europe or South America, you don't ever really have stoplights. You just have a roundabout. You just go around a bit your business. You slow down, but you still get to where you're going to go. Yep. And that's what is going on in the heart. The heart is that roundabout to allow the exchange of whatever the materials are that have to happen. And then it just goes on about its business. So now let's look at a different aspect of the heart. Why do we see the heart as this symbol? Well, I'm showing you that the heart represents the rear end, the butt. And the heart shown in an emotional form, emotional, and its sole purpose is to make us think of sex. The desire of the Yehudins is to trap humanity into one single mindset, and that is sex. We've talked about it, the 666. Their desire is to keep us slaves, and as slaves to keep procreating more and more batteries to power their realm. And of course, the focus here is going to be on sodomy, of course, because they want us to be stuck in the physical rather than the spiritual.
Yeah, and guys, in a few minutes, I'm going to show you a short PPT that I made, oh God, maybe 2 years ago. And I've been looking for an excuse or a way to present it here on the channel. And this has given me the perfect opportunity. So I think this is the last slide on yours, Harry.
So where did these guys get the idea of using the heart symbol on the bottom left, that red heart? Well, they got it from a plant called the silphium plant. Now, the silphium plant, they had these two seeds and they put them together and it looks like a heart. And so in antiquity, I don't know if we're going to use that time frame, but the ancient Greeks and the Romans, it's said that they revered this plant because it had so many medicinal properties to it. It was healing from a sore throat to a cough, indigestion, fevers, aches, pains, all kinds of maladies. But it's probably the most famous for being an abortion tea. Oh. It would be brewed into a tea, and it would help to get rid of a pregnancy if you really didn't want it. But it had so many functions that it was even turned into a gold coin, and it was just revered, and it was worth its weight in gold. Let's put it that way. It's very valuable. It was shown in coins, pendants, jewelry, all kinds of things. And then we also, yeah.
I was going to say, so I guess you could say that they loved this plant.
Oh, they loved the plant for sure.
Oh yeah.
And it even shows you the bleeding heart plant. There's all kinds of plants that mimic our emotions. Look at the pucker lip plant. It looks like a pair of lips.
Yeah,
the bleeding heart plant. Yeah. And so what they've done is they've looked at the aspects of nature and they've seen so many of these little symbols that they probably said, "Oh well, we're going to use this as our love symbol."
Interesting word you just used there, Harry. Aspects.
Yes, I didn't use it on accident.
No, aspects. Well, guys, if any of you out there are um, looking for a new biology teacher or science teacher, then Harry's your man, aren't you, bro?
Well, I didn't want to make it too technical. I wanted to simplify it because I didn't want this to make it sound like a classroom setting, because I just wanted you to see that the whole point that I wanted to show is that we're being lied to. We're being told things that aren't true, and then they back it up with their pseudoscience. And in reality, it's just a chemical reaction that's happening. And I tell people this too a lot. Pretty much love is a chemical reaction.
Yeah.
It's just your inability to be alone. And it's because you have a need to be with someone else. And I'm not saying it's bad. I mean, like I said, I was married twice, and I have four kids to show for it. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, guys, I'm going to get into this one. This is. Please don't anybody out there don't take any offense to this. This is literally just a follow on from what Harry has just presented. Now, we spoke in the last couple of presentations about the 50%, us basically being 50% female energy and 50% male energy. So if you are incarnated, you are 50% female energy, 10% male energy, and you're incarnated into the wrong body, then that would give you the reason to either become gay or get some surgery or whatever. But I just want to go through this very, very quickly. The heart, we all know, needs no explanation, and of course it's associated with love. The symbol of love is what we've been taught it is. What kind of love? Now, again, none of us are here to judge. If two guys want to go and do this, then fine, no problem. This is a whole new area that Harry and I have been talking about. I mean, this is Churchill's wife, and this is Roosevelt's wife. If my sons did not want, there would be none. Google Schnaper. I mean, look at this thing. Look at this thing, guys. I mean, yeah. And of course, we have these wives. Amal. I mean, you put an E on the end of quote unquote her name, becomes a male. And of course, if you don't know by now, you should. That is not what you think it is. And it's quite common for us guys to look at a woman and say, "Oh God, she's got a nice ass." A real human heart looks like this, not this. They don't even have any resemblance to each other. We've been fooled. What do you think, bro?
no, I mean, you did this years ago,
Yeah.
and we're touching on it again
Yeah.
because it's true. Why don't they just take a symbol of what a heart really looks like and put that on a necklace? It doesn't look good enough. It doesn't look, is it not natural enough? It doesn't resemble the flowers.
Who knows, bro? But all we know is that it's again, I was watching Logan's latest upload. I say latest at the time this goes out, decoding the Virgin, and again, it just proves beyond any shadow of a doubt that the controllers have created a black comedy. We are in a black comedy. We are being mocked. They're just taking the piss out of us, and they have been since before we were born. So it's just become what we call normal life. But it's actually pretty pretty sick when you get into it.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. We enter this world and we just start running around the track just like everyone else is,
Yeah.
and we don't know why, but we just do it because we're told to.
Mm.
And we just keep on going and going and going until the next guy comes in and we tell him, "Hey, just join the party. Keep doing what we're doing,"
Yeah.
and no one really ends up questioning it.
No. No. No, they don't. It's just, what was the old saying? When in Rome, do as the
Do
Romans do as the
mhm,
Romans do.
mhm.
This is
Keep
all
rowing,
road.
keep
Yeah.
rowing that boat, right?
All roads lead to Rome. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, we'll leave it there. Again, thanks for watching. Welcome to all our new subscribers. We're nearly at 1,000, bro. Officially. Um, like, share, subscribe, comment. The comments that we've been getting from you guys have just been insanely good, and they basically help us do what we do, and they help to inspire us and keep pushing us along. Um, and In order to get more and more of this info out for you. So, all right, we'll see you in a couple of days, I suppose. I'll be the weekend, won't it? Back on the weekend. Um, all right. Well, again, thanks, guys. Much love to you all, and we'll see you soon.
All right.
Bye.
Take care.